Alright, guys and gals, we're gonna do the 15,000 mile.
I wasn't expecting it to go up.
Are you hot?
Yes.
Is your vent open?
No.
No, it's your fault.
Oh, it's my fault.
No, that one's your fault. Alright, guys and gals, we are gonna do the 15,000 mile 2019 Ram 1500 review. You guys saw the 3,000 mile review, at least about 300,000 of you saw that, so thank you for watching that if you have. If you haven't, check that out to see any differences from this review to that review. We just got back from the range. It's kind of funny that each time we review this truck at different intervals, we are going to the gun range or coming back from it. So let's talk differences from 3,000 miles to 15,000 miles and what I've seen. At 3,000 miles, I complained about the eco mode kicking on and being like a total pain in the butt, and I'm not a huge fan of it. I don't think there's really a lot of people who are a huge fan of it, particularly if you're thinking about the longevity of the engine and turning on the 4 cylinders from 8 cylinders, etc. and all that. With that being said, if you use the gear limit and kick it into 8, and just leave it at 8, which means you're telling the transmission what your top end gear is. If you move that to 8, it kicks off the eco mode. Eco mode does not kick in. So I've been doing that every time I start the truck up, and eco mode doesn't kick in, and that's no longer a problem. What would be cool is if they actually had a button you could push to turn off the eco mode. So I would say if they could add that in the future, that would be awesome. As far as the positives for this truck, in the first review, we mentioned the braking, the ride. It's a quiet ride, and it's also a comfortable ride. There's no jostling around or anything crazy like that, particularly for a truck. Braking, it brakes very, very well. I actually had an incident between 3,000 miles and now at 15,000 miles where someone pulled out in front of me, and I was going like 60 on this highway, and someone pulled out in front of me from a complete stop. I guess they decided they didn't want to make a left, and they pulled out right in front of me, and I was pressing the brakes trying to get them to go further than the floorboard when that happened. And this thing stopped very well, and I am still a huge fan of the brakes, which are the biggest in class of the 2019 Ram 1500.
Hey guys, gals, everyone, love you all. Mostly, not everyone, but I love you guys because you're watching me and Captain Burrs over here, and what we have to say about trucks. And speaking of love, you gotta love your trucks, but safety comes first. Not all trucks have the top of the line safety features. And I can tell you the Ram 1500 2019 that we have here has saved our butts quite a few times with people not driving appropriately and having to come to a very immediate stop. And not only did it take action and actually physically stop this big ass truck in time, but it also did not completely throw us out of our seats. So with that being said, has an awesome leveling kit, awesome brakes that we love, and I think you guys would love too. On the other hand, gas mileage, 18 miles per gallon. It's not bad. Toyota Tundra takes the worst. Sorry guys. And also, Ford's not the best. Chevy has great, I would say 19 to 20, but you're not gonna get some features this truck has on there. And the price is unbeatable either. You just can't beat the price on this. What would you think?
As far as the price?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think for what you're getting, the price is awesome. As far as the engine goes, obviously it's the HEMI, it's a V8, it's badass, it's awesome. Tons of power, great for towing. I did add the Flowmaster exhaust system. You can see at the top here, there'll be a link to that video. It makes it louder, obviously, and what I did notice is when I put the Flowmaster exhaust on, I'm just going to make this assumption for if you put any aftermarket exhaust system on this truck, when you're on the highway, the top end of the RPMs open up dramatically. Like it feels like it's pulling even more when you get to the top end of the RPMs. didn't look at the dyno chart that Flowmaster had specifically because I wanted to make my own baseline of how I felt the difference was before and after installing it. And then when I looked at the dyno results, I saw that exact same thing with the dyno results they had with that system, is at the top end, there is an increase in horsepower dramatically compared to the rest of the line, the chart. So you will see when you're on the highway, this thing with this will feel like it's pulling much harder when you get to the top end of the RPMs when you're on the highway and you're cruising along, you need to make a pass. You're gonna sound badass doing it, and you're gonna have the truck pull much, much harder if you get an exhaust system.
So in regards to the check-in review of 15,000 miles that we now have on this truck, last time we were talking when we did our 3,000 mile review about the interior and all the comforts and settings and locations of where all of our stuff is, as far as cup holders. You got your cup holders here and back here and on the door, all very convenient for everyone. And I think that not just having one or two, but also in the back row, easy for us to access from up front is great when you have little ones in the back. That's perfect, very, very perfect. And for the LCD main infotainment screen up here on the dash here, it's very easy to use, but it's very bright, which is great. It avoids any glare during the bright daylight, but at nighttime, it bugs the hell out of me. I wish I could just dim it down quite a bit while I'm driving. But it does do its job. It does keep the information visible, very legible, and also very easy to navigate through. That part is awesome.
Gas mileage I talked about in the other one, and in the other one I said 17 to 19 miles per gallon, and that holds true. Right now I'm at 20 miles per gallon, but that's because I was mostly on the highway and mostly going about 45 to 55 because we were in a work zone. But the majority of the time I look down at the miles per gallon, I'm getting about 17 and a half to 18 on average. I travel half my miles on the highway, half off the highway. So take that as you wish. I've heard a lot of other people say that the gas mileage is the downside with this truck, compared to others in the class. You got Chevy, Ford, Toyota, and Mrs. Burrs can talk more to the miles per gallon of other trucks that are in the market. But for this one, I'll stand by myself saying, I'll narrow that down now that I've had it 15,000 miles, and I'll say 17 and a half to 18 and a half is very realistic if you're doing half on, half off highway. Has anything fallen apart? No, nothing's fallen apart. The one thing I will say was when I was changing the oil the last time, I looked underneath to the dampener, the dampener bar that comes down and up depending on the speed of the truck in the front, underneath the bumper, and the rod that lives on, or the rod that moves up and down, is actually rusty. So I cleaned that off and I put a metal protector on it, which was AMSOIL Metal Protector HG. I put that on there, and I haven't looked at it since, but I was kind of curious as to why it was rusty. I mean, it was very visibly rusty, and I have a video on that, which I'll put out here soon, and I'll roll in that video right now. So as you can see here, there's definitely some surface rust on this rod that I believe is on the air dam on the front here of this Ram 1500. This is really the only thing I've found as an issue. So I'm going to take some cleaner here and try and clean that surface rust off. And I'm going to apply some, as you can see there, I'm going to apply some metal protector on here. See, it's nice and shiny now. I mean, that's going to keep it protected as long as stuff doesn't chip this anymore. So that's going to happen. So I guess I'll have to do this. Maybe I'll do this at every oil change. So now that I did this, I'll put another coat on in a few minutes, and then I'll monitor it at the next oil change and see if this is a good solution. So as you can see there, the before and after of that is very dramatic for the rust. I don't know if they just didn't think of that. You know, there's going to be stones and pebbles and stuff that are going to kick up. They're gonna knock that that coating off, that bar, and then you're going to be I guess it's just steel that the bar is made of, and it's going to rust. You know, you're in a wet environment, it's going to rust. So that's the only thing negative I've really seen on the truck physically. One thing I will mention that I did notice in the last 12,000 miles since the last review is the transmission. I don't know if it's a bad thing or if it's just me and the way I drive, but when I pull up to a stop sign and you have to come to an absolute complete stop and wait for a second or two before this thing kicks in the first gear again. When you have it in tow haul mode, it kicks down in the gears a little faster and you don't notice it, but it'll stick in third gear a little bit after you come to a stop, and it'll kind of dog a little bit when you start to go again if you don't wait. So that's one thing that I'd say right now is probably the biggest thing I've noticed as far as like on the downside is the transmission not kicking down when it's downshifting fast enough for my preferences.
Another topic I would like to discuss is the suspension and the smooth ride from this truck. I've had some smoother rides from other trucks, but this one has been consistent. The other trucks, they start out smooth and then they just get rough. But this has been consistent, smooth, long rides, short rides, very comfortable, easy to get in and out of these seats. I guess just the way these seats are made, they're comfortable, a little bit of sternness to give you that support in your back, and there's not pressuring on any pressure points on my back, legs, bottom, buttocks, whatever. I don't know. If you guys want to.
Yeah, your butt.
Buttocks. But I'm not constantly adjusting myself, even though I do quite a bit, but that's just because of the nervousness of traffic in front of me and you're driving. You're a good driver.
We're gonna stop this truck right now and have a discussion.
But no, it's comfortable. It feels good.
As far as the safety features go, we talked about this last time. It does have blind spots. This one has blind spot monitoring. It works very well. I have yet again, for 15,000 miles now, heard that beep and for it to be wrong or for it to not beep when someone's next to me. It works very well, and I have trust in it that if it beeps, someone's next to me. That doesn't mean I don't glance, but I feel very confident that it works very well because I haven't seen it not work yet. As far as the interior goes and what it's made of, you know, nothing's fallen apart, nothing's kind of loosened up really that I can see or feel. You know, the screen and the monitor are great. You know, the LCD screen up here. This isn't the big one. I don't have the huge monitor, the 12-inch one or whatever. I just have the, I guess it's 6 or 8 inches or whatever. It's plenty for me and, you know, what I need it to do. I don't need a Tesla screen or anything like that. But works really well. It's very responsive still. I haven't seen any problems, and I haven't had an update come through since about 2,000 miles in on the truck. I haven't had an update pop up on the screen and say you need to update it. But it still works awesome, and I haven't had any problems or breakage of anything on this truck as a result of use.
So, one good point I'd like to make is the infotainment screen up here and the connectivity. The connectivity to your phones through Bluetooth and through USB Connect to get the Apple CarPlay. I guess we have iPhones. We love it. We love the fact that they're brand new, updated, working perfectly. We don't have any problems with connecting our phones. No Bluetooth issues, no Apple CarPlay issues. It runs exactly how it's supposed to. The truck is black, completely black on the outside, and usually black cars show every scuff, buff, scratch, ding, dent, and it just emphasizes, it just looks awful. And this truck actually looks great still, no dings, no scratches, and its paint's in great condition. is holding up very well. I'm very impressed with the paint. So, I want to talk about size because I can just take my hand and just fingertips are touching Captain Burr's shoulder over here. Got a long reach across the head to hold him.
Yes, I like this.
Long reach.
Can I actually see where you're grabbing right now?
No, it cuts off right above my wrist.
So yeah, there's lots of space in here, especially in the back.
I got back there, which is way back there. Can't reach. I can reach the back seat by really throwing myself out of that seat. Which is nice to have, because we have lots of bags back there that fits just on the floor between the seat perfectly. So lots of elbow room to kind of just stretch out, not feel confined. A very good use of space in here. I love it.
It's a really quiet truck, and I think that's the one thing that separates this from others in the segment is the ride comfort and noise. The one thing you're going to see with Chevy is it's going to have a chintzy interior. If interiors are a big deal to you, then you probably don't want to go with the Chevy. If you're wanting awesome gas mileage, well, the Ram might not be for you. Toyota's definitely not for you if you want good gas mileage. You know, the way you gotta look at it is each truck is gonna have its highs and its lows. And I would say, and would you agree, that the lowest part of the Ram 1500 for 2019 is gas mileage? Would you agree with that?
Yep.
And you're gonna get 18 miles per gallon, averaged out. So if you want, I mean, what is it to you to get an extra mile or two out of each tank, each gallon of gas? Wow, this is definitely a roadwork area, that's for sure.
So we're riding here, 15,000 miles, and I think next time we might touch base with you guys. I believe we'll be hitting 25,000 miles. We're going to do another review. So, until next time, catch you later.